In a dimly lit hospital room, the air hangs heavy with the scent of antiseptic and the soft, rhythmic beeping of monitors. An elderly woman named Margaret lies on the bed, her frail form barely a shadow against the sterile white sheets. The room is a hushed sanctuary of solitude where time seems to stretch endlessly. Yet amid this silence, something extraordinary stirs. Margaret, with a serene and knowing smile, whispers softly into the dimness, "Mary is here." For those of you who find solace in stories of faith and hope, please consider subscribing to our channel. We share inspiring narratives that uplift the spirit and connect us to the enduring power of belief. Her spirit remains unbroken, buoyed by a deep Christian faith that has been her guiding light through the darkest of times. Despite the loneliness that now defines her days, Margaret remains a testament to resilience and grace. Her marriage to Thomas was the cornerstone of her life, a partnership built on love and mutual respect. Together, they raised 3 children who have since scattered across the country, each caught up in the whirlwind of their own lives. Distance, both physical and emotional, has grown between Margaret and her children, leaving her yearning for the familial connections she once cherished. Her thoughts often drift back to the quaint streets of her hometown, the church where she found solace, and the laughter of her children echoing through the halls of their family home. Yet now, those memories seem like whispers from another life, overshadowed by the relentless march of time and the isolation of her current existence. Her days are a blur of routine checkups and the hum of medical equipment, punctuated by the occasional visit from a nurse. Despite the bustling world around her, Margaret feels invisible, her presence acknowledged only by the cold efficiency of hospital staff. This indifference deepens her sense of isolation, but it also strengthens her resolve to find solace in her faith. Yet Margaret clings to her faith like a lifeline, her nightly prayers a fervent plea for comfort and companionship. She seeks divine reassurance in the face of her mortality, yearning for a sign that she is not alone in this final chapter of her life. Though unseen, she knows it is Mary, offering a silent companionship that transcends the physical realm. Tears of relief and gratitude well up in Margaret's eyes, spilling over as she whispers her thanks to this mysterious yet comforting presence. The isolation that once seemed insurmountable begins to dissolve, replaced by an overwhelming sense of love and faith. Margaret's life was a tapestry, woven with the threads of countless memories, each one reflecting the warmth and love she had known in her small Midwestern town. Born in a modest home surrounded by fields that stretched to the horizon, Margaret grew up with the simplicity and resilience that came with rural life. Her days were filled with the sound of crickets in the summer and the crunch of autumn leaves underfoot. It was a place where everyone knew everyone, and the sense of community was as palpable as the sweet smell of hay in the air. John was her rock, a man of few words but abundant love, and together they built a life filled with shared dreams and deep-rooted faith. As the years rolled forward, Margaret poured herself into her family, her faith guiding her through the trials and triumphs of motherhood. Church on Sundays was a staple, each hymn resonating with her spirit, each sermon fortifying her resolve. Margaret and John weathered the changes together, their love a steadfast beacon in the shifting sands of time. But when John passed away, Margaret found herself adrift, the anchor of her life suddenly gone. The house that had once been filled with life felt empty and cold, a mere shadow of its former self. Her days, once bustling with the activity of family life, were now filled with solitude. Yet her faith never wavered. Each morning she would sit by the window, Bible in hand, finding solace in the words that had guided her through so many of life's storms. Her room, though tidy, was impersonal, the air tinged with the faint scent of antiseptic. Her heart ached for the touch of family, the sound of a familiar voice, a longing that went unanswered as days turned into weeks. Each prayer was imbued with hope, a testament to her unyielding belief that she was never truly alone. Yet even the strongest faith can be tested by the weight of loneliness, and Margaret often found herself wrestling with a profound sense of abandonment. The laughter of children, the warmth of John's embrace, the vibrant community gatherings, each recollection was a balm for her weary soul. But with each passing day, the chasm between her past and present seemed to widen, leaving her adrift in a sea of solitude. Little did she know that her prayers were about to be answered in the most unexpected way. Margaret had spent her childhood in a small Midwestern town, a place where the summers were golden and the winters were blanketed in white, creating a tapestry of memories that clung to her heart. The town was nestled between rolling hills and vast fields of corn, a picturesque setting that seemed to stand still in time. Her early years were filled with the laughter of siblings and the kind of mischief that only children can conjure, painting a picture of innocence and joy. Sundays were sacred, not just for church but for the family dinners that followed, where everyone gathered around a long, worn table, sharing stories and dreams. It was in this nurturing environment that Margaret's faith began to blossom, a seed planted in the fertile soil of love and devotion. As she grew older, her path led her to John, a kind-hearted man who shared her values and dreams. Their marriage was a partnership built on mutual respect and unwavering support, a union blessed with the birth of 2 children. Her children, a son and a daughter, filled her days with purpose and joy. But as they grew, life's demands pulled them away, scattering them across the country like seeds in the wind. Despite the distance, Margaret held on to the hope that they would return, that they would find their way back to the warmth of family. Her faith was her anchor during those lonely times, a beacon of light that guided her through the darkness. Now in the twilight of her life, Margaret found herself in a nursing home, a place that lacked the warmth and familiarity of her own home. The sterile walls and impersonal routines were a stark contrast to the life she once knew. Her health was in decline, a relentless march that left her frail and tired. The illness crept slowly, robbing her of strength, yet inside, her spirit remained vibrant. Margaret longed for the touch of her children, the sound of their voices, but visits were few and far between, their absence a constant ache in her heart. Her prayers were simple, a plea for comfort and companionship, for a sign that she was not truly alone. The staff, though professional, were overworked and often distant, their focus on tasks rather than the personal connections that Margaret so desperately craved. She held on to the hope that her prayers would be answered, that she would feel the presence of love and companionship once more. Margaret's heart was a testament to the enduring power of faith, a beacon of hope that glowed softly in the twilight of her life, waiting patiently for the promise of a new dawn. Margaret lay in the dimly lit hospital room, the soft hum of machines a constant reminder of her frailty. The air felt heavy, almost tangible, with an oppressive sense of solitude. Her eyes, once bright with life, now reflected a quiet resignation, although a spark of hope lingered, fueled by her unwavering faith. Every night, as darkness enveloped the room, she whispered prayers seeking comfort and companionship from a higher power, yet loneliness clung to her like a shadow, deepening with each passing day. Her life, colored by both joy and sorrow, had been a testament to her belief in a divine plan. However, as the days turned into nights, the isolation in the nursing home began to wear on her spirit. Her children, scattered across the country, were too busy to visit, leaving Margaret to navigate her final journey largely alone. Despite the distance, she never harbored resentment, choosing instead to remember the love they shared in happier times. The hospital staff, though not unkind, often seemed indifferent, their hurried footsteps echoing in the corridors as they moved from room to room. The occasional nurse would stop by, offering a polite smile or a few words of encouragement, but Margaret yearned for more. She longed for a familiar face, a touch that conveyed warmth and understanding. Her prayers, once filled with gratitude, now carried a tinge of desperation, as she pleaded for a sign that she was not truly alone. As the days blurred together, Margaret found herself grappling with an internal conflict that gnawed at her resolve. Her faith had always been her anchor, yet the persistent loneliness threatened to unmoor her. She questioned whether her prayers were being heard, whether her faith was enough to bridge the vast chasm of solitude that surrounded her. Each night, as she closed her eyes, she asked for strength to endure, for a reminder of the divine presence she so fervently believed in. The nights were the hardest, when the silence of the hospital became almost deafening. Margaret often lay awake, listening to the rhythmic beeping of the monitors, her thoughts drifting to memories of her past. She recalled the laughter that once filled her home, the warmth of family gatherings, the gentle touch of her husband's hand. These memories were bittersweet, offering comfort while underscoring the stark reality of her present situation. Despite the challenges, Margaret clung to her faith, determined not to let despair overtake her. She believed that God had a plan, even if she could not yet see its contours. Her prayers became more fervent, her whispered words a plea for reassurance, for a sign that she was not forgotten. It was during one of these silent vigils that she first sensed a change in the room, a subtle shift that she couldn't quite explain. The hospital room, usually cold and impersonal, seemed to warm around her. Margaret felt a presence, an intangible yet comforting sensation that eased her troubled mind. She was not alone. She was certain of it. This realization brought a sense of peace, a reminder of the divine love she had never doubted. Though she could not see or hear anything concrete, she felt the presence of Mary, a comforting figure offering solace in her time of need. Margaret's heart swelled with gratitude, her fears momentarily forgotten. Her prayers had been answered in a way she could not have anticipated. The loneliness that had weighed so heavily on her began to lift, replaced by an overwhelming sense of peace. She knew deep within her heart that she was cared for, that she was loved. This realization renewed her spirit, offering a glimpse of hope in the midst of her struggles. As the night wore on, Margaret drifted into a restful sleep, her heart lighter than it had been in weeks. She awoke the next morning with a renewed sense of purpose, ready to face whatever the day might bring. Her encounters with Mary, though silent and intangible, were a testament to the power of faith, a reminder that she was never truly alone. Margaret lay in her hospital bed, the sterile environment a stark contrast to the warmth she once knew. The rhythmic beeping of the monitors was a constant reminder of her frail condition, yet she found herself feeling strangely calm. It was as if an unseen presence had filled the room, wrapping her in a comforting embrace she hadn't felt in years. Her eyes, though tired, sparkled with a newfound light as she whispered to the empty room, "Mary is here." But then she felt it again, the undeniable warmth spreading through her, a gentle presence sitting beside her bed. Margaret's mind drifted back to the stories from her youth, tales of divine encounters and guardian angels. Could this be one of those moments? Her heart swelled with a mixture of awe and gratitude, emotions she hadn't allowed herself to feel since her children had grown distant and her days had become filled with solitude. The room seemed to glow with a soft light, as if the very air was alive with energy. Margaret closed her eyes, feeling the tears stream down her cheeks, a release she hadn't realized she needed. Her thoughts turned to Mary, the figure she sensed but could not see. It was as if Mary's presence brought with it the whispers of a world beyond her understanding, a world where love and comfort knew no bounds. Margaret's mind raced with memories of her past, each one a testament to a life lived with grace and faith. She remembered the small Midwestern town where she had raised her family, the laughter of children, the warmth of her husband's embrace. Those were days when the world seemed full of possibilities, a stark contrast to the loneliness she had felt since moving to the nursing home. Yet in this moment, the loneliness seemed to dissipate, replaced by an overwhelming sense of peace. She opened her eyes, half expecting to see a physical manifestation of Mary sitting beside her. Though no figure appeared, Margaret felt certain that Mary was indeed there, offering solace that transcended the physical world. It was a presence that spoke directly to her soul, reassuring her that she was not alone, even in these final days. She whispered a silent prayer of thanks, her faith renewed by this divine encounter. The feeling of Mary's presence was a balm to her weary spirit, a reminder of the love that had surrounded her throughout her life, even when she struggled to see it. She realized that this visit from Mary was an answer to the prayers she had whispered in the dark, those moments when she felt most alone. It was as if Mary's presence confirmed what she had always hoped, that her prayers did not go unheard, that she was cherished by a force greater than herself. Margaret understood that this was a gift, a glimpse into the divine that would carry her through whatever came next. Her spirit felt lighter, her heart more open, as she settled into the embrace of the unseen presence beside her. As she drifted into a peaceful slumber, Margaret held on to the hope that this was just the beginning of a journey that transcended the confines of this world, a journey toward eternal companionship and love. Margaret lay in her hospital bed, the sterile smell of antiseptic mingling with the faint scent of lilies from a bouquet sent weeks ago. Her frail fingers traced the worn edges of the Bible resting beside her, its pages filled with comforting words that had been her solace throughout life. The room, although dim, felt almost sacred, a sanctuary where she conversed with the divine in silent prayer. She closed her eyes, and her heart whispered its deepest desires, each prayer a plea for companionship and understanding. In these moments, Margaret often reflected on her faith, the bedrock that had supported her through life's trials. Her belief in something greater had been her guiding light through the darkest times. She remembered the verses from Matthew that spoke of not being afraid, for God was always with her. Such words had always fortified her spirit, yet now, as her body weakened, she sought a more tangible presence, something or someone, to reassure her that she was not alone. That presence had come in the form of Mary, a vision so vivid and comforting that Margaret could not dismiss it as mere fantasy. Mary's gentle presence beside her bed was a blessing, a divine answer to her pleas. Margaret could feel her heart swell with gratitude each time she sensed Mary's nearness, a warmth spreading through her like the embrace of a long-lost friend. She pondered this miracle, her mind drifting over the familiar parables of faith and deliverance that had shaped her beliefs. Margaret's thoughts often wandered to the parable of the Good Samaritan, a story of unexpected kindness and divine intervention. Just as the Samaritan had brought hope to the wounded traveler, Mary's presence had brought hope to Margaret's weary soul. She believed firmly that this was God's way of providing comfort in her solitude. Her heart swelled with a blend of awe and humility as she considered the possibility that she had been graced with such a divine encounter. In her reflections, Margaret found herself drawn to the story of Mary, the mother of Jesus, a figure of unwavering faith and resilience. She drew parallels between her own life and Mary's, feeling a kinship with the woman who had borne such profound responsibility with grace. Margaret's spirit was buoyed by the thought that Mary herself might be watching over her, guiding her through these final days with tender care. The quiet of the hospital room was punctuated by Margaret's musings, each thought a thread woven into the tapestry of her faith. She recalled the nights spent in her small Midwestern town, the stars twinkling above as she whispered her prayers into the night. The same stars now seemed to shine down through the window, illuminating her path with a celestial glow. She felt an overwhelming sense of peace, as if the universe itself was cradling her gently in her final journey. Margaret's conversations with God became more profound, each silent exchange a testament to her unwavering belief. She spoke of her fears, her hopes, and her gratitude, her words infused with the quiet strength she had cultivated over a lifetime. Her faith was a living, breathing entity, one that had grown and evolved with her, shaping her into the woman she had become. As she lay there, enveloped in the serenity of her thoughts, Margaret could almost hear the faint echo of a hymn, a melody that had accompanied her throughout life. It was a song of faith and trust, a reminder that she was never truly alone. The presence of Mary, the gentle whisper of the divine, and the steadfastness of her belief all intertwined to create a harmony that resonated within her soul. Margaret knew that there would be those who doubted her experience, who might dismiss it as a figment of her imagination. Yet she remained unshaken, her heart anchored in the certainty of her faith. She felt enveloped in a profound sense of purpose, a mission to share the hope and love she had found in these final days. With each passing moment, her spirit soared, buoyed by the promise of eternal companionship and the assurance that she was, indeed, in the presence of the divine. Nurse Kelly stood at the nurse's station, her eyes periodically drifting toward Margaret's room. She had noticed a change in Margaret over the past few days, a serene tranquility that seemed to envelop her like a comforting embrace. Yet despite the peace that Margaret exuded, Kelly couldn't help but feel a twinge of skepticism. Leaning against the counter, she sighed and turned to Dr. Taylor, who was scanning through a patient's chart nearby. "Taylor," she began cautiously, "have you noticed anything unusual about Margaret lately? Hallucinations are common, especially with the medication she's on. It's probably just her mind finding comfort in familiar faces or figures." The room was silent, save for the soft hum of machines and the occasional rustle of the hospital sheets. She could feel Mary's presence as surely as she felt the warmth of the sun filtering through the window. It was a presence that transcended the physical, reaching into the depths of her soul. To her it was a divine encounter, a manifestation of her prayers being answered. She believed with all her heart that Mary, the mother of Jesus, had come to offer her solace and companionship in these final moments. Could there be a truth beyond what the eye can see? She pondered this as she adjusted Margaret's pillows, ensuring she was comfortable. Whether it's real or imagined, if it brings her comfort, isn't that what's important? Despite the doubts and skepticism of those around her, she remained firm in her faith. Her heart was full, not of fear or uncertainty, but of a quiet assurance that she was not alone. Mary's visits had become a beacon of hope, a reminder that even in solitude, love and divine presence could transcend the confines of her small hospital room. As Margaret lay in her hospital bed, the once vibrant tapestry of her life seemed to unravel more quickly with each passing day. Her health, already fragile, began to deteriorate at an alarming rate. The pain, a constant companion, gnawed at her frail body, leaving her exhausted and vulnerable. Yet amidst this decline, the presence of Mary at her side became her beacon of solace. In the quiet solitude of the dimly lit room, Margaret drew strength from these silent encounters, her spirit clinging to the warmth that Mary brought. Margaret's children, distant both physically and emotionally, remained absorbed in the whirlwinds of their own lives. Calls were rare, visits even rarer. They were caught in the relentless tide of responsibilities, work, and personal commitments, seemingly oblivious to the ticking clock of their mother's time. Margaret, with a heart heavy yet understanding, longed for their presence, but understood the complexities of their lives. She wished for one last conversation, a chance to bridge the years of separation and misunderstanding. The serenity that enveloped Margaret during her moments with Mary was palpable, even if only Margaret could see her. Kelly watched from afar, her skepticism slowly eroding into curiosity. Could there be truth in Margaret's claims? Was there truly an unseen presence offering comfort? Margaret would whisper softly, as if in conversation, her eyes closed in a semblance of peace. She would speak of Mary's kindness, the gentle way she listened, and the understanding in her eyes. Each encounter left Margaret more convinced that this was no mere hallucination, but a divine visitation meant to accompany her through her final journey. The faith that had carried her through a lifetime of challenges now served as her anchor. Her prayers, whispered with fervent devotion, were not cries for healing, but for the strength to accept what lay ahead. She asked for peace, not just for herself, but for her children, hoping they might find their way back to one another. The beeping monitors and the soft hum of the hospital machinery faded into the background whenever Mary appeared. In those moments, Margaret felt the weight of loneliness lift, replaced by a sense of belonging and understanding. She cherished these encounters, aware that time was slipping away but comforted by the belief that she was not alone. Instead, she felt a profound sense of readiness. Each day, she whispered her gratitude for the life she had lived, the love she had known, and the visits from Mary, which she held as sacred gifts. The promise of eternal companionship gave her hope, a light in the encroaching darkness. Her unwavering belief in the unseen and her acceptance of her fate resonated with those who took the time to listen. Nurse Kelly found herself drawn into Margaret's narrative, her previous skepticism giving way to a quiet respect. Margaret's journey was nearing its end, yet it was clear that her legacy would continue to touch those around her, leaving a lasting imprint of faith and resilience. Margaret lay in her hospital bed, the sterile smell of antiseptic mingling with the faint scent of flowers someone had left days ago. Her frail fingers, once nimble and strong, now rested motionless on the thin blanket that covered her. The room was silent, except for the rhythmic beeping of the heart monitor, a constant reminder of her waning time. But amidst this quiet, a warmth enveloped her, a presence that made her heart stir with familiarity and peace. Margaret could see her sitting there, a vision of calm and grace bathed in a soft, ethereal glow. Mary was not a figment of her imagination, nor a product of her weakening mind. Margaret was certain. She had prayed for comfort, for a sign that she would not leave this world alone. Mary's presence was the answer, the divine response to the whispers of her soul. There was a kindness in Mary's gaze, a depth of understanding that transcended words. It was as if Mary could see into the very essence of Margaret's being, acknowledging the joys and sorrows of her life, and offering solace for each. It was not a sorrowful cry, but one of release, a cleansing of the burden she had carried for so long. Her life had been filled with love and loss, laughter and tears, and in this moment, it all seemed to find its place in the grand tapestry of her existence. There is a place for you, a home where you will be welcomed with open arms. The love you have given will guide you there. Will I see them again? Margaret asked, her voice trembling slightly with hope, ready to embrace whatever came next, fortified by the knowledge that she was loved, both in this life and the next. As Margaret lay back, closing her eyes, she felt a profound sense of gratitude wash over her. She had been given a glimpse of what lay beyond, a promise of love and companionship that awaited her. The fear was gone, replaced by an eager anticipation for the journey ahead. She knew now, without a doubt, that she was ready to take the next step, wrapped in the embrace of eternal love. Margaret lay in her hospital bed, her frail frame shrouded by the thin, sterile sheets. The room, dimly lit and filled with the constant hum of medical equipment, seemed to embrace her solitude. Yet a profound sense of peace had settled over her, a serenity as palpable as the soft rustling of the wind through the open window. Margaret's eyes, once clouded with the weight of her illness, now glimmered with an inner light that transcended the physical world. Margaret's acceptance of her fate was not born of resignation, but of an understanding that her journey was nearing its completion. She felt enveloped by a profound sense of fulfillment, as if every moment of her life had led to this point of spiritual clarity. The promise of a heavenly reunion with her loved ones, and with Mary as her guide, filled her heart with a joy that eclipsed her physical suffering. As the days passed, Nurse Kelly couldn't help but notice the transformation in Margaret. The once weary woman now radiated a tranquility that was hard to ignore. Margaret's serene demeanor intrigued Kelly, stirring something within her that she couldn't quite articulate. Despite her initial skepticism, Kelly found herself drawn to Margaret's unwavering faith, compelled to question the boundaries of her own beliefs. One afternoon, as Kelly adjusted the pillows behind Margaret's head, she couldn't resist asking, "Margaret, how do you find such peace in the midst of all this?" Margaret smiled, her eyes twinkling with wisdom beyond her years. "It's not just peace, dear. It's a promise of love that never fades, even when everything else does." They resonated with a truth she had long ignored, a truth that beckoned her to explore the spiritual dimensions of life that she had dismissed in her busy, pragmatic world. Kelly found herself contemplating Margaret's experiences, wondering if there was indeed more to life than what met the eye. She spoke to Mary with gratitude, expressing her readiness to embrace whatever lay beyond this life. "I am ready," she whispered one night, the words carried on the wings of a prayer. "I am ready to go home." Nurses and doctors alike found themselves contemplating the deeper questions of existence, curious about the mysterious presence that seemed to watch over Margaret. Margaret's transformation had not only changed her own life, but had also set Kelly on a path of self-discovery and faith. In the stillness of the night, Margaret closed her eyes, enveloped in a sense of peace and fulfillment that transcended the physical realm. She was ready to embrace the next chapter of her existence, assured by the love and presence that had accompanied her throughout her journey. In the hushed stillness of the dim hospital room, Margaret lay cocooned in the quietude of her final moments. The rhythmic beeping of machines that had accompanied her through her last days now seemed to fade into the background, becoming a distant echo of the life she was about to leave behind. Margaret's breaths were shallow, each one a gentle whisper in the air, but her heart was full, overflowing with a peace that transcended the confines of her frail body. Her eyes fluttered open, and she could almost feel the soft caress of invisible hands comforting her, guiding her toward a light that seemed to fill the room with a serene glow. The presence of Mary, who had been her solace and confidant in these last days, lingered near, a constant reminder of the divine promise that had been whispered into her soul. Margaret's thoughts drifted back to the moments of profound connection she had experienced, and she felt grateful for the journey that had brought her to this moment of acceptance and grace. Those who had known her, even fleetingly, felt a pang of loss but also a strange sense of inspiration. Her gentle presence, marked by unwavering faith and quiet strength, had left an indelible mark on all who had crossed her path. Nurse Kelly, in particular, found herself deeply moved by Margaret's journey. Witnessing Margaret's transformation and the peace that had enveloped her during her final days, Kelly couldn't shake the feeling that something beyond the ordinary had touched her life. It was as if Margaret's faith had planted a seed within her, urging her to explore the depths of her own beliefs. Margaret's story had become a catalyst for reflection, encouraging a quiet introspection among those who had dismissed the spiritual realm as mere fantasy. Her life, once viewed as a distant narrative overshadowed by their own struggles, now emerged as a source of inspiration and a reminder of the faith and love that had defined her journey. In the days following her death, they found themselves drawn together, seeking solace in shared memories and the legacy of faith their mother had imparted. Her life, a testament to the power of faith and the enduring strength of the human spirit, became a beacon of hope and love. The light that had filled her room in her final moments continued to shine in the hearts of those who had been touched by her story, urging them to seek deeper connections and embrace the mysteries of faith with open hearts. Acts of kindness, inspired by her life, started to ripple through the corridors of the hospital, creating a tapestry of compassion and empathy that echoed Margaret's own gentle spirit. Her story, one of love, faith, and divine presence, became a testament to the enduring power of hope, leaving a legacy that would inspire and guide many for years to come. In the quiet aftermath of Margaret's passing, the hospital halls seemed to echo with whispers of her unwavering faith and the enigmatic presence of Mary. Those who had crossed paths with Margaret found themselves reflecting on the remarkable peace she exuded in her final days. Among them was Nurse Kelly, who had witnessed the profound transformation in Margaret and could not shake the feeling that there was more to the world than she had previously allowed herself to believe. Kelly, known for her pragmatic and no-nonsense attitude, had always approached her work with a skepticism that shielded her from the emotional toll of her profession. Yet Margaret's story lingered in her mind, challenging her once steadfast views. The memory of Margaret's serene smile, even in the face of death, was etched into Kelly's consciousness. She began to wonder if there was indeed a greater force at play, something beyond the tangible world she had always trusted. As the days passed, Kelly found herself drawn to the small chapel within the hospital. It was a simple room, often overlooked by the busy staff and patients, but to Kelly, it became a sanctuary. She would sit quietly, surrounded by the flickering light of candles, her thoughts drifting to the stories Margaret had shared about her faith. Kelly's curiosity about Margaret's experiences with Mary grew into a quest for understanding, a journey she hadn't anticipated but felt compelled to pursue. Margaret's family, though distant during her life, began to gather in her absence. Her children, each carrying their own burdens of regret and sorrow, were united by the stories of their mother's final days. They had been skeptical, much like Kelly, dismissing Margaret's tales of Mary as the ramblings of a woman in decline. But the testimonies of the nurses and the palpable change in Margaret seemed to stir something within them, a longing to reconnect with their roots and perhaps with each other. Some spoke of feeling an inexplicable warmth when they entered Margaret's old room, a room that seemed to retain a touch of the serenity she had embodied. Others, particularly those who had been indifferent or dismissive, began to approach their patients with a newfound empathy and attentiveness, inspired by Margaret's quiet dignity. It reached the local church, where the pastor decided to hold a special service in her memory. He spoke of Margaret's faith as a beacon, a reminder of the comfort that belief could bring, even in the darkest of times. The service was attended by more people than expected, a testament to the impact Margaret had unknowingly had on those around her. Nurse Kelly attended the service, sitting quietly at the back, her heart full of questions and a budding sense of faith she was only beginning to understand. She listened intently as the pastor spoke about the possibility of divine presence in our lives, the ways it might manifest when least expected. For Kelly, these words resonated deeply, echoing Margaret's own sentiments and the mysterious encounters with Mary that had sparked her journey. As the community gathered to honor Margaret, they were reminded of the enduring power of faith and the ways it could inspire change, even in a world often marked by skepticism and doubt. Margaret's legacy was not just one of faith, but of love and resilience, qualities that had the power to transform those who opened their hearts to them. And so, the ripples of her life continued to spread, touching all who remembered her story. In the days that followed, as Kelly returned to her duties, she found herself carrying a piece of Margaret's spirit with her. She approached each day with a renewed sense of purpose, a belief that perhaps there was more to her work than just tending to bodies in need. Through Margaret, she had glimpsed the possibility of hope and healing beyond the physical, a legacy that would forever change her own path. In the quiet aftermath of Margaret's passing, the community found itself abuzz with whispers of her profound experience. The presence of Mary beside Margaret's bed had sparked curiosity and contemplation among those who heard the tale. To provide insight into the mysterious events, the local church organized a gathering, inviting a respected pastor to offer theological perspective. His eyes, kind and perceptive, scanned the curious faces filling the pews. "Today we gather to reflect upon the extraordinary journey of our dear Margaret," he began, his voice resonating with warmth and authority. Her experience with Mary raises questions that touch the very essence of our faith. The atmosphere was one of reverence and anticipation, as those present leaned forward, eager for enlightenment. Even in solitude, God's love is with us, guiding and comforting. It is a message of hope and reassurance, one that calls us to open our hearts and minds to the divine. Pastor Samuel's words flowed like a soothing balm, offering clarity and understanding. In times of trial, he said softly, we may find ourselves questioning our faith, wondering if our prayers are heard. Margaret's story reassures us that they are. Her encounters with Mary were more than visions. They were divine responses to her deepest longings. Margaret's faith had sparked a change in her, igniting a desire to explore her own beliefs, to seek out the divine presence that had brought such peace to Margaret. Margaret's story had touched them all, a testament to the power of faith and the enduring presence of the divine. The pastor's words lingered in the air, a gentle echo of hope and reassurance. The world felt a little brighter, a little more connected, as they stepped into the evening light. Margaret's children sat quietly in the dimly lit living room, the soft ticking of the old grandfather clock marking the passing of time. The atmosphere was heavy with regret and unspoken words, a stark contrast to the vibrant memories they shared of growing up under their mother's warm and loving presence. They had gathered to reminisce, to understand, and hopefully, to heal. David, the eldest, broke the silence first. "You know, I always thought we'd have more time," he admitted, his voice tinged with a sorrow that resonated with his siblings. "I never imagined she'd go without us being there." Michael, the middle child, had always been the pragmatic one. "It's easy to blame ourselves now, but she never held it against us," he remarked, trying to lift the burden of guilt they all seemed to share. Mom was always about forgiveness and understanding. As they sat there, surrounded by the echoes of her laughter and the warmth of her memory, a realization dawned upon them. They knew it wouldn't be easy, that the road to reconciliation was often paved with difficult conversations and the need for patience. Yet, they felt a renewed sense of purpose, spurred by the desire to make their mother proud, even in her absence. Each encounter was a step towards healing, a chance to share memories and stories that kept their mother's spirit alive in their hearts. They realized that her legacy was not just one of love and devotion, but also of resilience and hope. The sermons and hymns resonated with them in ways they hadn't expected, offering comfort and a sense of connection to something greater than themselves. Their journey was not without its challenges, but it was one they approached with a newfound sense of unity and determination. In honoring their mother's memory, they discovered the power of love and forgiveness to heal even the deepest of wounds. Margaret's story, once a personal journey of faith and hope, had become a shared legacy of healing and reconciliation for her family. In coming together, they found not only each other but a deeper understanding of the values their mother had lived by. Margaret's legacy was alive in them, a testament to the enduring power of love to bridge divides and bring about transformation. As they continued to honor her memory, they did so with the knowledge that they were part of something much larger, a family bound by love and faith, guided by the lessons she had imparted. As Margaret's story began to spread throughout the small community, it ignited a spark of introspection and renewal among its members. People who had once been content with their routine lives found themselves pausing to reflect on their personal beliefs and the connections they held dear. Margaret's tale of faith and divine companionship resonated deeply, prompting many to re-evaluate the depth of their own spirituality. Parishioners, old and new, gathered to listen to sermons that seemed to carry a newfound energy and relevance. The pastor, inspired by Margaret's unwavering faith, began to weave her story into his teachings, emphasizing the idea that divine presence can manifest in the most unexpected ways. His words encouraged the congregation to open their hearts and minds to the possibility of miracles in everyday life. Outside the church, the ripple effect of Margaret's experience manifested in tangible acts of kindness. Neighbors who had previously been strangers began to reach out to one another, offering help and companionship. A sense of community, once dormant, began to flourish. Individuals inspired by Margaret's life volunteered at local shelters, organized food drives, and supported each other in times of need. It was as if an invisible thread connected them all, woven together by the lessons of compassion and love that Margaret embodied. Margaret's influence had instilled in them a deeper understanding of the impact they could have on the lives of those in their care. Margaret's story had planted a seed of hope within her, one that continued to blossom with each passing day. Their actions, inspired by their mother's life, served as a testament to the enduring power of love and forgiveness. These stories became a source of inspiration, encouraging individuals to seek deeper connections with their faith and with each other. The narrative of an elderly woman who found companionship in her final days transcended geographical boundaries, touching the hearts of many and fostering a renewed appreciation for the bonds that unite humanity. Her journey had illuminated the path toward a more compassionate and interconnected world, one where acts of kindness and faith could inspire lasting change. Through her legacy, Margaret had shown that a single life, lived with grace and devotion, could indeed create a ripple effect of goodness that touched countless others. Her story remained a poignant reminder of the power of faith, love, and the enduring impact of a life well lived. In the quiet aftermath of Margaret's passing, the air seems to carry a gentle whisper of serenity, a reminder of the peace she found in her final days. Her journey, one of profound faith and unwavering belief, has left an indelible mark on those around her, serving as a testament that even in solitude, we are never truly alone. Margaret's story is a vivid tapestry, woven with threads of hope, faith, and the mysterious presence of Mary, whose appearance at her bedside brought an unexpected light into her waning days. This narrative invites us to ponder the nature of divine companionship and the ways it manifests in our lives, particularly during moments of deep personal struggle. Her encounters with Mary were not merely figments of a lonely mind, but rather profound connections that transcended the physical world, guided by her enduring faith. They served as a beacon, illuminating the path toward acceptance and peace. Her transformation from a woman burdened by the weight of her illness to one enveloped in peace is a powerful reminder of the strength found in spiritual conviction. It is a journey that resonates with many, touching on the universal desire for connection and comfort in the face of life's inevitable end. This revelation challenges us to embrace our own faith, whatever form it may take, and to find comfort in the knowledge that we are part of something larger than ourselves. It has prompted acts of reconciliation within her family, fostering healing and forgiveness. Her children, once distant, have begun to reconnect, honoring their mother by embracing the values she held dear. The ripples of her faith have reached out into the community, encouraging acts of kindness and a renewed focus on fostering deeper connections with loved ones. Consider how these themes play a role in your life and how they might guide you through times of solitude or uncertainty. Margaret's tale is not just a story of one woman, but a universal narrative that speaks to the human experience. It reminds us that faith is a guiding light, one that can lead us through the darkest of times and into the promise of a brighter tomorrow. Let Margaret's story inspire you to seek out connections, both divine and earthly, and to find comfort in the knowledge that you are never truly alone. As we conclude this journey, we invite you to subscribe to our channel for more stories that uplift and inspire, exploring the depths of faith, hope, and the human spirit. We also encourage you to view our suggested video, which delves deeper into these themes, offering further insights and reflections. Let Margaret's legacy be a beacon of hope and a reminder of the enduring power of faith, guiding us all toward a path of love, connection, and understanding.